Deadeye is saved, I think. Okay, so today is November 29th, and there was a big bounce patch today. I didn't do a standalone video for it before now because on the November 12th, I believe, I did a massive video going over all of the many pages of notes, and I really didn't think it all needed to be repeated. That would have just been like me spitting out another hour of drivel and saying, please watch me for ad revenue. However, there was a couple of small things in the notes that were changed. However, it took a while for the community to figure out what was changed because, to my knowledge, Guild Wars 2 themselves did not post a second forum post that just said, like, here are the differences. They just did the first one, the second one, and then you had to compare 80 pages side by side. Fortunately, some wonderful nerds over on the Reddit managed to do that. So let's go through the list of what is different from the notes we were given weeks ago and the patch that hit today. Okay, so Elementalist, Core. Cone of Cold increased the base healing by almost double and increased the healing attribute scaling by double in PvE only. Weaver. Elements of Rage increased damage bonus from 5 to 10% in PvE. Swift Revenge increased the damage bonus from 10 to 15% in PvE. And Woven Stride fixed an issue that prevented this trait from increasing the effectiveness of swiftness. So that last one was just a bug fix. First two were damage buffs in PvE for Weaver. Catalyst, Flame Wheel, Icy Coil, Crescent Wind, and Rocky Loop. I think that is the Hammer 3 skill for every element. These skills now strike enemies once per second instead of using a projectile. Increase power coefficient from 0.01 to 1. Previous is 0.25 in PvE only. This part, if this is PvE only, I'm assuming this is all game modes. If this is all game modes, this is actually big. Because there are a lot of enemy players in PvP that have projectile block. An enemy elementalist doing the focus wind, one of the bubbles from either Spellbreaker or Guardian or Scrapper or Mechanist, any of those anti-projectile bubbles, Druid Staff, any of that stuff will just delete all projectiles that pass through their area. So anything going from a projectile to not a projectile is a buff, like a major one in PvP. Engineer. Core. Healing Turret. Fixed an issue that caused the overcharge skill to take longer than intended to fire. I feel like we read this in the previous notes, but just to go over this again, that is a huge one. For those that don't play Engineer, the Healing Turret, one click, you drop the turret and you get your heal, and then the turret just sits there and farts out regeneration. If you click it again, it detonates. However, right when you place it, it's a water field for a short time. So if you drop it, if you just click, what should happen is you drop it, you get a heal. The water field goes out, it explodes in the field, which is a water combo, and then it heals you again. However, there would sometimes lag, and you would drop it, it would explode, then the field would hit, and you wouldn't get the combo, and it was like, it forced you to kind of wait a little, and it was unreliable. It became unreliable in high-stress situations to be able to just like tap and get your heal. And you don't want that. Your healing skills should be reliable. It shouldn't be like Signet of Renewal, which has been broken for, how long has the game been out now? 10 years? It shouldn't be like that. No one would want that. Mechanist. Audio updated the Mechanist Jade Mech CJ1 movement booster volume and its guttural sounds to only play for the mech's owner. So I think this is supposed to be so that if you're near 37 other Mechanists in a meta event, it's a little less annoying. You're still going to be blinded by green, but the sounds are at least a little died down. Necromancer. Core. Death Perception added additional crit chance, increased from 10 to 15% PvE and World v World. Reaper. Dusk Strike. PvE only. Increased power coefficient from 1.0 to 1.2 PvE only. Increased life force gain from 1 to 2%. Last part is new. Yeah, I was going to say, this looked familiar. Okay, so this part, increased life force gain from 1 to 2% with Dusk Strike is new. Shroud Knight reduced life force drain per second while in Reaper Shroud from 5% to 4% in PvE only. That's cool. Any PvE Reaper is going to love having more uptime on Reaper Shroud. That's really the name of the game with PvE Reaper. It's just be in Reaper Shroud as long as possible. The highest uptime you possibly can. Get back into that mode as quickly as possible and stay in that mode as long as possible. Chill to the Bone. In PvE, reduce the cooldown from 90 seconds to 45, and increase power coefficient from 2.0 to 3.0. The skill now grants Fury and Might in addition to its previous effects. So, you know, a skill largely only used in PvP. They're giving it massive buffs in PvE just to probably kind of see what happens. This reminds me of when Ranger Frost Trap, which was pretty much not used anywhere. They just said, you know what, let's take the PvE damage and do ×4 and see what happens. And it started getting used sometimes by Soul Beasts and Fractals and stuff like that. So maybe this will get something similar. Your soul is mine. Oh, sorry. Your soul is mine. A little Shang Tsung reference there. Increase life force gain on cast from 5 to 10%, and increase life force gain per target from 3 to 5% in PvE only. Death Spiral, increase life force gain per hit from 2 to 3% PvE. Grasping Darkness, life force gain per hit from 4 to 10, massive one, in PvE. Fading Twilight, increase life force gain from 1 to 2% in PvE. Harbinger. Cascading Corruption, Deathly Haste, and Doom Approaches fixed an issue that prevented these traits from triggering while using Voracious Arc, and Voracious Arc fixed an issue that allowed the skill to be used multiple times consecutively. Fixed an issue that prevented this skill from striking enemies when the target point was in shallow water. Transfusion fixed an issue that prevented Harbingers from healing themselves with this trait. Fixed an issue that prevented Harbinger elixirs from applying blight to the user and boons to allies. I mean, this honestly is just like, it's all issues. Harbingers, just a big old sack of issues, and they are trying to fix them. Ranger, Core Farsighted, fixed an issue that prevented this trait from properly affecting some skills. Thank God. Revenant, Herald, Burst of Strength. Damage bonus now applies in condition damage as well as strikes. In PvE only, reduce cooldown from 15 seconds to 12. Increased effect duration from 5 seconds to 10. Reduced damage bonus from 25% to 15%. Oh, thank you. Core Values. Fixed an issue that prevented this trait from granting increased boon duration to allies when using True Nature in Legendary Dragon Stance. Thief! Now, one of the only things I already, before reading this, know about that was changed today is because one of the biggest outcries leading up to the patch going live was that Thief Deadeye rifle range nerf. That appears to have not gone through, but in just a moment. Heart Seeker PvE only. Increase power coefficient against targets below 50%. Health to 1.75, preview 2. Increase power coefficient against targets below 25%, health to 2.5. No more boost for targets above 50%. Deadeye, Skirmisher Shot, reduce range from 1500 to 1200. 3-round burst, reduce range from 200 to 1200. Now, hold on a second. I was told... I was told that that didn't go through today. To my live audience, if any of you are on Deadeye, could you double check the range of Skirmisher Shot or 3-round burst for me? Now I'm wondering if, because this was not written by an official source, this was written by people on the subreddit. So the original patch notes from November 12th said the Skirmisher Shot and 3-round burst were getting nerfed from 1500 down to 1200. However, the notes today do not say that, and according to a couple of people in my live chat, they're saying it is still 1500. Because that was the biggest sigh of relief I heard from my community, was that these didn't get nerfed. Oh, there we go, first comment. Kneeling rifle, still 1500 range. You can jump while kneeling. You could dodge roll while mobilized while kneeling. Something about the movement speed feels kind of buggy. Okay, so I'm assuming, since this isn't an official source, that they added this as a mistake, but it appears that they changed their mind on the range thing. You know what? There's a good clickbait title. Deadeye is saved, or is it? You know, something like that. Anyway, so right this second, the tooltips in game say 1500. That is what it says at this time. I don't have a measuring stick, so I haven't checked it myself, but that's what it says at this time. Death's Judgment. Skill now pierces foes not targeted by Deadeye's mark. Damage dealt to unmarked enemies reduced. Players can now move while using this skill. Range reduction got the range reduction got removed. Gotcha. I was going to say, I remember reading this on the 12th. Warrior Core Fierce Shot fixed an issue that prevented the skills tooltip from updating properly when used with Crack Shot trait. And Cull the Weak fixed an issue that prevented weakness from being applied with several burst skills. All right, and as always, I'll add links to this down below if you want to see this yourself or see if maybe there's been anything more added to this wonderful comment section here. And yeah, that is it for today.